Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name's Tyler and I just do consistent content, all things related to hockey and the NHL overall, and wow, did this trade come out of nowhere. I wasn't even ready for it. I was literally in a Zoom call for my class because I'm a college student as it happens. So a couple hours have went by now, but yes, Kasperi Kapanen, the same winger that was originally traded from the Pittsburgh Penguins to, of course, the Toronto Maple Leafs a couple years ago in that blockbuster Phil Kessel trade, is coming back home to Pittsburgh where he was originally drafted by them in the first round, I believe 22nd overall, or in the 20 range back in 2014. What a trade this was. A lot of pieces going into it, multiple players going both ways, and a first round pick that is key. So that's what I'll be discussing with you today. My thoughts on this trade, who won this trade, and why it made sense for both teams, and why it necessarily didn't make sense for both teams. But getting right into it, you see the Penguins, of course, acquire right winger Kasperi Kapanen, defenseman Jesper Lindgren, and left winger Pontus Aberg. And then to the Toronto Maple Leafs, you have the 2020 first round pick of the Pittsburgh Penguins that will be 15th overall in this year's draft. Left winger Evan Rodriguez, the gritty bottom six winger that the Penguins acquired months ago in the trade with the Buffalo Sabres. I believe that was also part of the deal with Connor Sheary going the other way as well for Dominic Cahoon. And then you also have centerman Philip Hollander and defenseman David Warsawski. I apologize if I pronounce those wrong, but this was a big trade. And when it comes to Kasperi Kapanen, he is one of those guys that has so much potential and has displayed it at many times with this Toronto Maple Leafs team, but the lack of consistency and the kind of mentality that he has just not clicked with this Toronto Maple Leafs team. And as they are, of course, trying to get rid of some cap space, open up some cap space, I should say, because they desperately need it, moving a guy like Kasperi Kapanen ultimately makes sense for them and the club going forward. But then Jesper Lindgren, who's very interesting as well. He, of course, has been playing in the AHL and just around 30 games, had 9 points. And then when it comes to Pontus Aberg, I think that's one of the better acquisitions, honestly, a sleeper, because Aberg, of course, had over 40 points in the AHL for the Marlies this year and just around 55 games, had 20 goals, 24 assists for a total of 44 points. And he has been in and out of the NHL plenty, but given the depth to this Toronto Maple Leafs roster, that of course led Aberg to play the majority of the year, of course, with the Marlies. But Aberg is a guy I could definitely see playing for the Penguins next season, as they've dealt with plenty of injuries on the wing, as we know, over the past year plus. So bringing in a guy like Aberg who can come to the NHL level whenever they need him to be. And we all know what the Penguins do when it comes to facing adversity with all injuries on their offense. Whoever comes up ultimately does fantastic, and I expect nothing less if Pontus were to get a shot with the Penguins next season. But then with the Toronto Maple Leafs side of the things, and this is the biggest X factor, they of course get the 2020 first round pick, which is going to be 15th overall, which very well could be the likes of a Seth Jarvis or a Jack Quinn or possibly even a Jake Sanderson. I don't see Sanderson falling all the way 15, but for the Leafs case, that would be huge, as they definitely need help on that defense. But this is huge for the Leafs and is ultimately the X factor here. But continuing, they also get left winger Evan Rodriguez, who had 10 points and just around 40 games this past season. You know, really wasn't going to do much for the Penguins, of course, and I don't expect him to do much of anything with the Leafs either, honestly. But then Philip Hollander is an interesting prospect. He was drafted in the second round by the Toronto Maple Leafs back in the 2018 draft, and he, of course, has been playing in the SHL, and he had 14 points in 27 games. So I'm not sure what the potential is there with him. If you know him better than I do, let me know in the comments below. And then when it gets to David Warsawski, he is a mainstay of the AHL. He's 30 years old, had 33 points for the Wilkes-Barre Penguins this year, and you shouldn't expect any more than AHL action when it comes to him. But getting back to Kasperi Kapanen, as you can see, he had 36 points this year in 69 games. And the year before that, he had a much better season with 44 points, including 20 goals and 24 assists for 78 total points. When it comes to Kapanen, all the potential has been there. He's only 24 years of age right now. He has electric speed. He's one of the fastest players in the NHL, wingers at least. He can contribute on the PK as well. He can really do a lot for your team, especially whether it's in your top 9 or your bottom 6. Wherever you put him, he can contribute for sure. But like I said, it has been a consistency issue with him in his young career. He's had multiple occasions where I believe he's missed practice or something of that nature, where he then was scratched from at least two Toronto Maple Leafs games before. So little sketchy there when it comes to his consistency and being, at the NHL level, being respectful and knowing what it takes to be an NHL mainstay. So I'm not sure what the future is going forward for him, but I think he will be a strong fit for the Penguins, honestly. They tend to do well with winger acquisitions that they receive, and I think this trade made a lot of sense, but I do definitely think the Penguins overspent. Because when you think of this trade from both sides, the Penguins in this situation, of course, are going to have a cap hit of Kapanen at $3.2 million until the 2022-2023 season. And they, of course, have guys like Connor Sheary that's coming off the books at $3 million. They're probably not going to re-sign him. Then you have guys like Dominic Simone, who was an RFA, so you can expect him to stay there. Same thing with Lafferty, who's an RFA, but Patrick Marleau is a UFA, and I expect him gone as well. So freeing up that cap space should be no problem for the Penguins, because they just did that by not signing these players, which is ultimately what is going to happen. At least I think that's going to happen. So putting Kapanen in that top 9, I think will do well for them. They've been dealing with plenty of injuries on the wing, as we know, so I think having a guy like him, who's a speedster, might add, could really contribute in this offense going forward. I think he will definitely benefit playing along the likes of, whether it be the likes of Evgeny Malkin, Sidney Crosby, even Jared McCann. I think he could do a lot for them. But there is no question in my mind that given his current trade stock, that the Penguins overpriced him here. They shouldn't have traded that first-round pick. And one of the only years where I would say you shouldn't trade a first-round pick, this is one of those years. This first round is going to be amazing. It is one of the best draft classes in recent NHL history, and could very well go down as one of, if not the best draft class in NHL's history, all depending on what happens over time. But this draft is so deep when it comes to offense, and even though it isn't a defensive-heavy draft, the Penguins still could have very well lucked out with a very solid player at the 15th overall pick. So now the Toronto Maple Leafs, clearing up some cap space, are now going to get a talent that could very well be on their roster, maybe as soon as next season, or at least in a couple of years, on an entry-level deal. So this was a win-win for the Toronto Maple Leafs. I do think the Penguins lost this trade, giving up that kind of first-round pick. I think if it was, say, a later first-round pick, whether it be in the 20s, late 20s, as the Penguins normally have deep playoff runs, this isn't the case this year. So I think the Maple Leafs made a very strong trade in this. I think they have more to do, and as you know, they have cap space that they definitely need to free up. With their biggest guy, who's a UFA, is Tyson Barrie. Are they going to re-sign him? I'm not sure. In my personal opinion, I don't think it's in the best interest of the Leafs at all to re-sign him, unless they re-sign and trade him, ship him off in a massive deal, and I don't know if that's going to happen, obviously. So time will tell what happens here, but I do think the Penguins lost this trade because of that first-round pick going the other way. Kapanen is a very solid player, has electric speed, and shows amazing potential at times, but it's just a matter of being consistent, and I'm not sure if he will be able to do that going forward, but I obviously hope for the Penguins case that does happen, because he will have plenty of guys around him to make things happen, just like he did when he was in Toronto. So time will tell, but I do love David Sullivan, the head coach of the Pittsburgh Penguins. I think he will do a fantastic job with the likes of Kasperi Kapanen under his wing going forward, but time will tell. But that's going to conclude this video. Let me know in the comments below what you think. If you're a Leafs or Penguins fan, are you happy, sad about this trade, or a hockey fan overall? Who do you think won this trade? Are you excited about Kapanen? Are you upset that he left the Leafs? Whatever it may be, let me know all your thoughts down below. Check out my previous videos. I really appreciate it. I have a great one regarding Byfield and Stützle, who should go number 2. Make sure you check that out, as well as some others. Thank you all for following me and subscribe thus far, guys. It means so much to me. And now help us reach 1K by hitting that subscribe and like button if you like this kind of hockey content, so that way I can start doing live streams and plenty of other things, and this channel is only going to get better. I have a lot of equipment that's going to be coming on this channel soon to make things that much better. But thank you all again, guys. It means so much to me. Comment down below, and I'll be back very, very soon.